It's day 3 of the international talks in Geneva to try and reach an agreement to possibly curb Iran's nuclear program and in exchange ease some sanctions. Leaders from 6 nations are in those negotiations at this time. The verdict is guilty for a Utah doctor convicted of drugging his wife and then drowning her in a bathtub. Prosecutors argued that Martin McNeil's motive was a desire to be with his mistress, with whom he'd had a 15-month affair. And the Olympic torch has found its way into space. 2 Russian cosmonauts will take the Olympic torch on its first spacewalk this week, the same torch that will light the flame at the opening of the 2014 Winter Olympic Games in Russia. And that's a quick look at some of the top stories making news right now. More now on Iran and the intense talks that continue today in Geneva over a possible deal to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions. Western diplomats, including Secretary of State John Kerry, are pushing for a deal that could ease sanctions if Iran stops enriching uranium to produce nuclear weapons. Connor Powell is joining us live now from our Mideast Bureau with reaction from Israel, where the mood there remains quite tense. Connor?
Uma, for the past 15 years, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has really led the fight to shut down Iran's nuclear program. But as talks between the international community and Iran have intensified, Netanyahu is lashing out at those negotiations, insisting that any agreement to lift Iran's sanctions before Iran is stripped of its nuclear ability to produce nuclear weapons would be, quote, a bad deal. Netanyahu has issued 4 very strongly worded statements in about 24 hours condemning any type of interim agreement that would ease sanctions on Tehran. Now, his remarks really highlight the growing gap between Israeli leaders who want to prevent any type of deal and the international community who want to prevent a military confrontation with Iran.
Israel is not obliged by this agreement, and Israel will do everything it needs to do to defend itself and to defend the security of its people.
Iran, of course, denies any interest in developing nuclear weapons, saying that their atomic program is, quote, for peaceful civilian purposes. And when asked about Netanyahu's comments, the White House said any critique of a deal is premature because there's no agreement. And it does appear that the international community in Iran are still very, very far apart on any deal. Still, Netanyahu is angry about the talks and where they might be leading. Now, President Obama and Netanyahu did speak yesterday, Uma, and the relationship between the two men has long been frosty. This process, this negotiation between the United States and the international community in Iran will certainly test that relationship going forward. Uma.